Hello everybody! Today we will be making lava lamps and understanding how they work by diving deeper into the concepts of density and polarity. First, let's start with the experiment. To conduct the experiment, you will be needing a clear plastic cup or a glass, some food coloring, alka-seltzer tablets, some olive oil, and some water. Start by filling the glass 1/3 of the way with water. Next, add some food coloring. Next, take one alka-seltzer tablet and break it into 4 parts. Keep them on the side. Fill the rest of your glass with oil. Next, take the pieces of the alka-seltzer tablet and slowly drop them into the glass. You will see that the colored water forms bubbles and it rises to the top. Once the bubbles have popped, the water once again comes down and settles. This process will continue until the alka-seltzer tablets have finished.
Here's another example of a lava lamp.
So now let's discuss and understand how this experiment really works. Let's start by defining what density is. Density defines how concentrated the matter within an object is. This means it tells us how closely the molecules are packed within an object. One could also say that density describes how thick an object is. The formula to find density is quite simple. It is the mass of the object divided by its volume. The mass of the object describes the amount of matter present within that object, and the volume describes the space that the object takes up in its surroundings. Now, the density of water is 997 kilograms per meter cubed, and the density of oil is 950 kilograms per meter cubed. So when oil and water are put into the same container, because water has a greater density, this means that water is relatively heavier, and because of this, it settles down. We can see as oil has a lesser density than that of water, it floats on top of water. Moving on, let's talk about polarity. Now, polarity determines the distribution of an electrical charge over a molecule. This means that when 2 or more atoms come together to join a molecule, the atoms actually have a different electrical charge. One atom has a positive electrical charge, and the other atom has a negative electrical charge. When these two come together to form a molecule, the molecule attains a neutral electrical charge. Such molecules are called nonpolar molecules. Some examples are oil and carbon dioxide. Another example is argon, a gas which can be found inside light bulbs. However, if there is an unequal number of positive or negatively charged atoms coming together, then a difference in charge, an imbalance in charge is created in the molecule. Such molecules are called polar molecules. Examples are water, ethanol, and ammonia, which can be found in drain cleaners or window cleaners. To better explain, let's look at this water molecule on the screen. Because there are two positively charged hydrogen atoms and only one negatively charged oxygen atom, which have come together to form this water molecule, the water molecule has an imbalance of charges, where one end of the molecule is positively charged and the other end of the molecule is negatively charged. Now, polarity affects density of a substance as it changes the distance and the force of attraction between the atoms within that molecule of the substance. To better explain this, let's take the example of oil and water. Oil and water are unable to mix with each other because they have a different force of attraction acting between their molecules. This does not allow them to mix together. Because water is polar and oil is non-polar, their forces of attraction are completely different, and because of this, they do not mix. Now that we have clearly understood what polarity and density are, let's move on to the observations. Now, when we add the alka-seltzer tablet into the water, because it is heavy, it sinks to the bottom. It reacts with the water to release carbon dioxide, which is a gas. Now, we all know that gases are less dense than water. Because of this, the carbon dioxide bubbles, they rise to the top. But these carbon dioxide bubbles, they are surrounded by a layer of water. So when the carbon dioxide bubbles reach the surface and pop to escape into the atmosphere, the layer of water which surrounded the bubble falls back down. The water bubble falls back down because of its density, as it is denser than oil. It is heavier and therefore sinks. It also does not mix with the oil because of its difference in polarity. We have finished understanding what goes on in this experiment. So for a quick review, density is the concentration of matter within an object. It tells us how thick an object is. Polarity determines the charge, the distribution of the electrical charge of a molecule. Water and oil do not mix together because of their difference in polarities, and oil sits on top of water when put into the same container because oil is less dense than water. Gases are less dense than liquids, and therefore they rise to the surface. As we saw in our experiment, carbon dioxide, being a gas, rises to the top in our solution of water and oil. The water bubble falls back down because it is denser than oil, and it does not mix with the oil because of its difference in polarity.